Yeah, my name is Ben Bruton, and my show is called Terrwar, Terrwar.
Hey, I'm Mike. Welcome to Podcast Diaries. These are the stories of podcasters who feel alone, just like you. Tell me about your show.
Yeah, so it was a recent inspiration, I guess. I'd seen this word terroir, Terrior, which is a French word that describes all of the environmental conditions that make the taste profile of wine.
Okay.
And that was extrapolated to other things like coffee beans.
Sure.
Marijuana, everything. They're like, what if it's what's in the soil, the runoff water, what kind of flora and fauna are around.
Gotcha.
All of those things go into the taste profile. And
it's like honey for bees and things
exactly.
like that.
Yeah, honey is exactly the same. I have bees.
Oh,
so
great.
That's another
cool.
great analogy there. But so I thought that was a perfect idea because I'd had this idea for that I wanted to interview artists.
Okay.
And not so much about their art, but their process of creating art.
Yeah, I like that.
And everything that goes into that. How how they were raised. There's some personal topics in there.
Absolutely.
Things that affected them, their inspirations, their influences. If they had, alcoholic family members or just it could be anything.
Yeah.
Because I have some rough past with things like that, and I wanted to know how that affected other people, and that because I used to play music a lot. I played a lot in a few metal bands and stuff, and I think there was that that being drawn to aggressive music or something, just because there was something to get out.
Yeah,
and I wanted to get that perspective from other people.
Gotcha.
From all arts.
So how long have you been doing this?
I've had 3 episodes up.
Okay.
And I have my 4th interview will be this week.
Okay. And who's your next interview?
His name is Dustin Brown.
Okay.
Dustin Brown Music. He's
right.
Probably my favorite regional Texas artist right now.
Okay.
He's got real grit in his vocals and he's a fantastic storyteller.
Yeah.
And I reached out to him and he saw my first pilot episode and he was like, "Dude, is that the dude sweater?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm a dudist priest, so I love the dude." And so we started talking about books and things, and he's very well read. And I was like, "Man, I got to have you on my show." So he's going to be my New Year's show.
So this is video, right?
Yep, I do video on YouTube and then audio on everything else.
Okay, and you release the audio everywhere?
Pretty much. There's so many of them now, it's hard to keep track.
That's true. Yeah. Before we started this, I was emailing one of them because their site don't work. So, what's the motivation for you? I mean, I understand that you wanted to investigate this kind of everything makes up a thing, but what's your personal motivation to do this?
Yeah, I think I've always had a draw for towards the psychology of humans. I'm just always I've always been interested in what makes people work. It's like a true crime podcast and things like that. When I was a teenager, I just dove into serial killers and things like that.
Right,
and,
sure.
And I read a lot, and a lot of the books I read are just about how people work. What makes us do certain things, and so it made me kind of think about why I do things, and there's a book by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning.
Okay.
And at the end of it, he writes down what gives him meaning in life. And he puts it in an envelope, and then he asks his class. He was a lecturer. He survived the Holocaust. He's crazy, insanely inspirational person, but he asked his class, "What is in this envelope? What is my meaning in life?" And one of the students said, "Well, your meaning is to give other people meaning." Wow. And so I thought, wow, I think I've just always been in I'm a serial hobbyist. I've tried to get into all these different things, and I was like, maybe that's what it is. I'm drawn to find other people's meaning in life, or to push that. If I have an artist that's on, and I really like them, I want to push them like, hey, you should. However you feel about life, if you're feeling down at any point, you should push past that, because you make great art, and I feel like you can make even greater art, an impact.
So you were saying that, and it's funny. I watched. You ever watch Documentary Now?
No.
Okay, it's a fake documentary series that comes on AMC. It's with Fred Armisen and a couple other guys, right? And I think Seth Meyers writes most of it. But the last episode this season was all in French, number one, and it was about this word frisson, Frisson. I just watched this last night. Okay, so it's weird that you're talking about these kind of things, but frisson is it's supposed to be that feeling when you get goosebumps from something, right? And so you made me think of that whenever you're talking about everything coming into it and understanding your meaning and what's your purpose and all that kind of stuff. I think that all ties kind of together, right? I mean, why are we here? Why are we doing what we do? Why don't we do the things we don't do? And what gives us that oomph, to keep going?
Yeah.
I don't care what you call it. But we do it for a little bit of a thrill,
Yeah.
Just to that next thing.
Yeah.
I have a very, very addictive personality. And so, I stopped drinking and all of this stuff, because I realized, it doesn't matter what I point myself towards. I'm going to get addicted to it. Right now it's work, right? I was telling you, I think a while ago that you're probably number 20 in the last 2 days of this show that I've done. When I set my mind to something, or I decide that I'm going to do a thing, I do it way too much, so whatever it is. But when I don't do it, I do it zero. It's either all on or all off. So your motivation, you say, is to find out about others, basically, right?
Yeah, it's to maybe extract their meaning, and then push that.
Do you want like a little part of that, like what they have?
I
don't want to call you like a vampire or anything, but I mean, do you want some of that?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've always been a serial hobbyist. I've gotten into so many different things. I'm always interested in everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I hear someone talk about something, and if they're really passionate about it, I'm like, oh, maybe I should do something like that.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe that's what gives
passion. Is that where like bees came from?
Yeah. I don't remember exactly. I read a book or something, and I was like, I'm going to get some bees.
He was like, I've always had bees.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I have friends that live out in Axtell. It's where I grew up. And so they have some property. So I got with them, and I was like, hey, man, we should get some bees. And he's like, yeah.
Right.
I hyper focus on things. I'm the same way. I'm like, I got to do this, and if someone pulls me away from it while I'm in the middle of it, I get agitated, like, you need to let me work.
No, I absolutely know what you mean. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I love that word though, because when I would tell people kind of the premise of my podcast, I would get goosebumps. So that's perfect.
Yeah. Isn't that cool? Yeah. You should look that up and watch it. Even though it's made up and all that, it's just a good little story.
I love Fred Armisen, so I don't know why I haven't even.
Oh, it's great stuff. Great stuff. There's 4 seasons. I mean, so you got a lot to catch up on. Yeah. It's good stuff. Okay. So, this podcast, you say you've done 3, you're doing your 4th one. That'll be your New Year's episode. What do you have to do, or where do you have to get to see this thing as a success for you?
I think going into it, I didn't really have anything like that in mind. I think I was just so interested in talking to people.
Right.
I enjoy just talking to people, hearing about their lives, what they do, what drives them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Success is just to dig deeper, find more people. So far I have a list of people that I kind of sort of know, being a musician before and kind of being, having a sense of like knowing people in the local kind of regional area.
Yeah.
So I guess is being able to interview people I don't know more often, finding other perspectives that's kind of my drive. Is just
so all the ones that I've done for this show, only a couple have mentioned money, and you certainly didn't even get close to mentioning money. I think this is a passion project for you, right?
Yeah,
wouldn't
definitely.
You say?
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of the way it feels for most of these folks that I've talked to. There's a guy that I talked to up in Canada. He's got 7 podcasts and works full time. I'm not sure how he does that, but all of them are serving others type podcasts, right? It's all about serving others, and it's been probably the most inspirational couple of days I've ever had, talking to folks all around the globe about why they do this and you know who's listening and does it matter. And I'm starting to come to the conclusion that it doesn't matter. We're not speaking into a void because we'll find our people, right? I was talking to a guy this morning about back in cave times, light a fire, tell a story. The people that want to listen to it will come. Maybe they don't want to be at your fire. Maybe they want to be at somebody else's fire. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't need to pull them away from the other fire or anything. If we enjoy what we're doing and we have passion in what we're doing, our people will find us.
Yeah. Definitely.
And if not, well, hell, we're making ourselves happy,
Yeah.
And we only get so much time. So
yeah, I don't think I think when you try to search for, or when you try to target specific crowds, I don't think it ever works out. You come off as inauthentic.
Yeah.
I think if you're authentic with what you're doing, then people will be drawn to that.
Yeah.
And if it's interesting topics, then they'll keep staying around.
That's that's the gist that I've gotten, and I hate to kind of unload on you from all these episodes, but a lot of them have been Zoom. You're here in the studio with me, and so I just thought it was a good time to kind of evaluate everything because you are kind of the example of what I'm talking about here with just I do it because I love it. And that's admirable, very admirable.
Appreciate it.
It's tough to do because sometimes people don't always see it. People outside of us, family, friends, things like that, they don't always see that we're doing it just for ourselves, and sometimes that matters.
Mm-hmm.
I often give the explanation or the whatever of when you get on an airplane, there's that thing on the back of the seat that tells you what happens when the oxygen masks drop. Well, there's one picture of a mother putting the mask on herself first, then putting it on her child. And I know this is not nearly that dire of a situation here, but I feel like we have to enjoy or save ourselves first before we can help other people.
Yeah.
And so I think these podcasts are the oxygen mask dropping down for a lot of people, and they're grabbing it and they're sucking up all the air they can so that they can help all the other people that are near them or around them or even people they haven't met yet.
Yeah.
So, okay. So what does the future look like with this thing?
Well, I've got the next 2. I've got through March booked with guests.
Okay.
Doing once a week. I'm not trying to overload with it, because I'm prone to burning out with things. So I have to.
That's the hyper focus, though.
Yeah,
right?
That's why I've made it a point to okay, Ben, you got to pace yourself this time. Just try to do it one guest a week. Because I have a kid and I have a full-time job. Mm-hmm. So
what do you do, by the way?
I'm an engineer.
Oh, okay.
So
great.
So
tough driving those trains, huh?
I'm a software engineer.
I got you. Yeah.
And I have a cousin who does trains, and
really,
and he's always like, "Hey, when are you going to come?" You guys are on strike right now. Why would I do that? Come on.
Sorry, I keep interjecting, but grew up with a guy who ended up being and this is a stupid comparison, but he ended up being the engineer of the tiny little train that used to be around Lions Park. So we had this little kiddie park, and somebody would drive the tiny little train. He would dress up like engineer, do the whole thing.
Hey, you gotta
he bought into the whole thing.
Oh yeah, go all in.
All right, software engineer. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So so that was my profession, I guess. But I'm halfway I'm an instructor and an engineer.
Okay.
I work for a company where we run engineering boot camps.
Okay.
So I build internal tools and things like that, but I also teach it. And that's the rewarding part is teaching, because our business plan with the company I work for is we try to find those who haven't had the opportunity. They don't have the money to go to college. Our programs, we pay them to go through it's not a traditional boot camp. We pay them to go through it. They're kind of like consultants.
Huh.
But yeah, we try to get more females and minorities, because in the engineering field, I know you know this from your teaching experience, that it's male dominated.
Yeah,
so
a few guys out there.
Yeah. So we're trying to
bunch of white guys.
We're trying to,
sure.
definitely. We're trying to do what we can to kind of skew that,
balance it. Sure.
But it's a small company, so But
that's a noble effort, though.
So I feel I have rewarding work, my full-time gig, and then so I still have rewarding work as a passion project out of that. So I feel pretty good about life.
That's really good, man.
I worked in the oil field before, and I hated myself and everything. And
it's a bad place to be.
Man. It was awful.
When I was talking to somebody about this the other day, the negativity thing. I was a very negative person for a very long time, and I do slip back into it every once in a while. And boy, I hate myself when I do it.
Same way.
Now that I've identified it, but now that I have identified it, I can feel it when it comes on.
Yep.
And sometimes I can stop it, and sometimes I can't. But I credit my wife and just life, to finally crushing me down to the point to where it said, "No, it's you, idiot. You're the one that's being mad all the time. Nobody else is."
Yeah. I'm the same way. I actually had a podcast years ago. That it basically consisted of me and a couple of friends just talking trash about politicians and things all the time. Yeah. And it's like, if anyone deserves that, it's probably politicians, I guess. But it was still that thing where I was just like, at the end of it, I'm like, man, I'm kind of exhausted from being so negative this whole time.
Yeah.
So I just jumped off. They continued to do the show for another 30 episodes. Sure. But yeah, I'm the same way now. I just kind of, I guess. My wife and I have started going to comedy shows.
Oh yeah,
and that's down in Austin.
Yeah,
and I think going to those, we see enough negativity and we get that out of our system, because comics are they're always trashing everybody.
Yeah.
It's good, for me to hear that from someone else.
That's great though. It's like a really good catharsis for you. Just to get that stuff out. That's cool. Yeah. Well, I think it's really great that you've identified kind of who you are, and now you're going to work on the thing you love. That's not many people get that opportunity. Not many people identify where they are so that they can take that opportunity.
Yeah, it's hard.
It is. It's tough. Okay, so tell me one last thing. Equipment, surroundings, where you do it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's in my home office. So I have a couple really large bookshelves just full of books. So I kind of get that sort of a studious feel to it, It's like
he's in the library.
Yeah. Like, I try to as hard as I can to look like a wizard. Just full of sage knowledge, and I'm in there.
You got a staff.
Yeah.
Sure.
I need a staff actually. Yeah. I have this old piece of driftwood that looks like a staff, but I wanted to carve the head to look like a dragon kind of.
There you go. What I would do is I'd get on Amazon, order a small dragon, and just like tape it to it or whatever. That's save you a lot of time.
Duct tape it on there.
That's right.
This is my dragon staff. But yeah, I use a couple of Rode podcast mics.
Yeah.
I think it's the Rode Pod.
Yeah.
I think
little black ones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I use a couple of those, and I run it through a Zoom. It's the Q8. It's the camera. It's like a 4K camera, and it has two XLR inputs.
Yeah. That's
so
awesome.
It's pretty cool.
All in one.
Yeah, I covered everything because I was looking at the Rodecaster, and I was like, dang, that thing is awesome. But it's a little like, I have a bad habit of like I get into a hobby and I just spend money on it and I get all this stuff and then I just
overkill.
Yeah, get rid of it later.
And you got a closet full of crap just sitting there. Yeah.
So this time I was like, okay, just take it easy. I don't need the Rodecaster now. Maybe later. But so I have those. I have the camera, and it's just it's at my desk where I work at. So it's
cool, man.
I just pull up an extra chair for the guests to sit in, and that's just got my gaming laptop is what I use. I use it for podcasting more than gaming.
Sure.
And I podcast once a week. So I don't game anymore.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah. And I I'm an investor in Nexus, esports and I used to own a gaming center.
Right.
So I used to love gaming, but that was part of that you were talking about the addictive personality earlier. Yeah, for a while it was gaming for me.
I get it.
And
so it didn't matter what it is. It's just a thing.
Oh, no. Yeah.
It's like find a thing and you just go, oh my God, this is it. It's the only thing.
People always rag on those who are addicted to some kind of substance, but it's like, I mean, your TV or your cell phone or video games, it's all the same.
It is the same.
You have no like, you're not in a place to like look down on other people who are addicted to something else just because it's a different addiction.
It's that old glass houses thing,
Yeah.
I mean, look at your rocks. I mean,
we're all addicted to something.
We are.
It's just I think now I try to channel that addiction to more positive outputs. So.
Well, this has been great, man. I really appreciate it. Give me one last time, full name of the show, where they can find you.
Yeah. Ben Bruton. The name of the show is Terrwar, Terrwar. And if you just go to the site, www.terrwar.com, that has the latest YouTube episodes on there. Otherwise, you can find it under Instagram is Terrwar Cast, Twitter is Terrwar, Spotify is Terrwar. The others, I say the others because I can't remember all of them. Because I go on, I use RSS. To do it, and then they're like, "Oh, use all these integrations." I'm like, "Yeah, click, 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 click." I don't even know the Stitcher,
exactly,
things like that. Yeah. So just you can search for Terrwar, pretty much any platform.
Okay. Well, great, man. Well, lots of luck to you. I'll be watching, and thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Check out more Podcast Diaries and plenty of other shows at roguemedianetwork.com. If you have a story to tell, reach out to us. info@roguemedianetwork.com. This has been a Rogue Media Network production.